And then finally, we will do a workshop. Okay, so in this workshop, you will be creating your own Copilot, and then you will be, and the second part of the workshop will be that you can create your own plugins also. Okay. So something about us. So we have been in business for the last uh, 20 plus years. We are about 2,500 people worldwide. We have offices in about 10 different locations. We are ISO certified, and we are also Chicago Best Place to Work winner for the past 3 years. And we are also a Microsoft Gold business partner. One question which I think everybody is asking right now, that what is a task that I am already doing that can be, improved by generative, AI. So I think this is something like, pretty hard right now. So I know we have a, yeah, please join us. Yeah. Thank you. So I think I just wanted to get to know that what is your current, experience with Copilot, and then also what comes to your mind when you think about the future possibilities of using Copilot in your company. So if somebody wants to share, I mean, like, so I mean, have you used, Copilot? I think you mentioned that you have used Copilot before, right? Just just I'm playing with it. I mean, anybody else like used Copilot before? Yeah. Okay. So pretty new to it. And then, do you have any use cases which you like to share, which you want to see through Copilot? Anybody wants to share any use cases?
Well, I'm not familiar with Copilot, but
Yes.
AI use cases
Yeah,
by industry, there's so
they are the
many.
same. Yeah, they are the same thing.
So,
Copilot AI.
Yeah. So could be anything. Typically along the way I look is along the customer journey
Yes.
and what aspects can be uh, digitized and decision, especially where decision making is required. So
Okay.
customer service is one example that keeps coming
Okay.
up. How do you augment and for agents, make the agents super agents?
Okay.
But there are others.
There are some of those use cases. Okay. And for, I mean, like, those people, I mean, like, who just joined in, I mean, we have some food. So, if you like to, have a sandwich, I mean, please help yourself. Okay. So let's see. So I think this is the I mean, age of Copilot. So what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? So I have a short video. I mean, like, that will give you a quick summary, and then we will go through more details. So here is the video. Okay, so I think that was a quick summary about the Copilot. And now let's. So I think Microsoft 365 Copilot is basically made up of large language models. Then it has like something which is called the Microsoft graph. So the Microsoft graph has all of your uh, data. So I mean, like that has data from your mails, from your Word file, Excel, Outlook, everything. Okay, and then you can also add your data from your warehouses. I mean, like to the Microsoft graph also. And then it has like also data from the Microsoft 365 app and plus the World Wide Web. So all of that together is Microsoft 365 Copilot. So there was a survey being done by the West Trend. This survey was for transforming work. So 60% of leaders say a lack of innovation or breakthrough ideas is I mean it's a big concern. 64% of people have struggle with finding time and energy to get their work done. And 70% of people, indicated they would delegate as much as possible to AI to lessen their workloads. After using the Microsoft Copilot, 68% said Copilot, basically improve the quality of their work. 70% said Copilot make them more productive, and 77% said they didn't want to give Copilot up. Okay, so I think this was some quick survey and a feedback. I think a lot of people think that Copilot is just for the IT services people, but it is not for IT. Every domain in your organization can use Copilot, either from human resource, marketing, sales, customer service, finance, and there are many use cases for that. I mean, we will go through some of them. So, common question we hear from our customer: how do we know our data is secure? When we will be able to audit Copilot usage, and what can I do to avoid overexposing our data, and where is my data processed? Okay, so these are some of the questions which we hear from our customers. So, I mean, here is a short video which will basically answer some of them, and then we will go through it further.
Microsoft 365 Copilot, transforming work with the power of generative AI. It's built on Microsoft's comprehensive approach to enterprise-grade security, compliance, privacy, identity, and responsible AI. Copilot automatically inherits your organization's Microsoft 365 security, compliance, and privacy policies, so you know your data is protected and always in your control. It all starts with your Microsoft 365 tenant. Data stored in your tenant is encrypted and only available to the users within that tenant. Your existing Microsoft 365 permissions and policies ensure the data won't leak between users and groups. And Copilot users only have access to data they've been granted permission to see in Microsoft 365 using the same technology customers have relied on for years. Your tenant sits inside the Microsoft 365 service boundary, where Microsoft's commitments to security, compliance, data location, and privacy are upheld. The Copilot large language models, or LLMs, that process your data sit within that same boundary, much like other Microsoft 365 services. Microsoft does not have eyes-on access, which means no one can view your data. Your data is not used to train the LLMs. And our EU customers can be confident that their data is processed within the EU data boundary. Microsoft 365 Copilot, enterprise-grade security and privacy for the era of generative AI.
Okay, so I think that was the feedback about the security. Now, this is a whole new way of working that basically involves both software and culture. So, common question we hear from customers who are just thinking that, okay, I like basically Copilot and I want to use it. What should I do now? Right? So these are some of the questions, I mean, like, which normally, you know, comes up. Who do I give the first Copilot seat to? How do I get, employees up and running quickly? And what are the ways to measure the impact? So Copilot for Microsoft. So I think there are a three-phase approach for that. So the first thing which we do is that we, decide that, okay, let's give a few Microsoft 365 license to a few people, and then I think define some quick wins. After that phase is finished, then we roll this out to a wider, uh, community within the company. And then we create a Copilot user community. Create Copilot champions. Then we manage some, guidelines. Then after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, we basically see that how are they using this Copilot. So Copilot comes with something called the Microsoft Copilot dashboard. So if you go to the Microsoft Copilot, dashboard, it looks something like this. So if I zoom this, yes. Good. So from this Microsoft Copilot dashboard, you can see that how many people are currently using Copilot, from which Microsoft 365 applications they are using it. So Teams, Outlook, Word, okay, and then if you go to the next tab, which is called, impact, you can see how many hours are being saved by using Microsoft Copilot. Okay, so it will basically tell you that how many hours are being saved. Finally, if you go to sentiment, sentiment will basically tell you, are the people happy using Copilot or are they not happy? Okay, so this Microsoft Copilot, dashboard is a really good tool to see that. Uh, Now let's go through the basic architecture of the Copilot. So the way it works is that somebody will send a prompt. So I'm sending a prompt that summarize the latest updates on the Fabric project. Now this user prompt will go to the 360 to my Copilot. The Copilot will make a connection to the Microsoft Graph data. The Microsoft Graph data has something called semantic, index. Semantic index is a vector database. Okay, so it will get all the relative data according to the prompt. So the prompt is that everything about the Fabricam project. So it will find anything which is related to the Fabricam project. It will get that from the Microsoft Graph. And then it will send my user prompt and my data to the large language model. And then once the data goes to the large language model, it will form the response. It will come again to the Microsoft Graph. Inside the Microsoft Graph, there is like some guardrails. So if you have data which is not should be shown to the users, it will then go through the guardrails. And if everything is fine and according to the guardrails, then that response will be sent back to the user. So this is how the overall process works when you use Copilot. Now, some of you have used Copilot, some of you don't even know that how do I sign up for the Copilot and where do I begin? So let me just show you, so if you don't have the license for Copilot, okay, so you will go to the admin.microsoft.com, and if you have the user, privileges, you will go to billing, and then you will go to your products, and then out here you will search for Copilot. Yeah. Purchase services. And out here you will select Copilot. Sorry, I should type properly. Copilot. once I find Copilot out here, now there are like, two products, Copilot. I'm looking for the Copilot for Microsoft 365. I go to details. So out here, you will buy the licenses. So like we said that if you are new, don't buy for the whole, company, buy for a certain set of, people. And then once you buy the license, then you go to manage, and then you assign the license to those people. Okay, so you come out here and you basically, assign it to the right people. Okay, after you have acquired the license, now I will show you some of the use cases which we are using it in. So if I go to Microsoft, Excel, okay. So here is Excel. Okay, so here is one of my massive financial report. It has like about 1 million rows in it, and I mean this has the finance report for last year with all of the sales in like different segments and countries and products and brand. Okay, so I want to, instead of like using Microsoft Excel, I can just now go to Copilot and I can ask a question. So if I want to say ask what is the gross uh, what is the gross sale in Germany for 2013? I can just ask the question. It will go through all of these thousands and thousands of rows, and it will, calculate the value back to me. Besides, I mean, like, getting data, you can also create charts. You can send these charts to somebody. So I mean, anything which you have in your mind, I mean, like, you can just use the Copilot and then you can get the response back. Okay. So once I get my license, I can, like, this Copilot logo will show up, and then you can, basically start using it. So this is, so it came back with the data. It is showing me that the total gross sales for Germany in the year 2013 was 6 million. So, right. Now, if I, so besides Copilot, I mean, besides Microsoft Excel, if I want to create a new PowerPoint, so I will go to File, new presentation. I can go back to the Copilot. I already have a prompt just to save time. So I am asking a prompt, and the prompt is create a presentation on the impact of AI on the job market in the next decade, include statistic on the number of jobs that will be lost and gained and the industries that will be affected. So I can create this presentation. So you will see that automatically, like, based on the prompt, it will create the whole, PPT for me. And then whatever you don't like it in that, presentation, you can just keep on, modifying. So I will show you how you can, do that. Sure. So while this is coming up, if like anybody has any, questions or feedback, please share those. So, I mean, you can see out here, I mean, it basically created the whole, presentation for me. Now, I don't like this particular image out here on the top, so I can say, please change the image on the first slide with something modern. And then it will like, automatically change. So I think I'm just showing you how you can, basically do that. So I think this is something simple, right? Basic, like, everybody knows. Now, where does this thing really shines is search. Okay. So in Royal Cyber, I mean, everything which we do is in SharePoint. I mean, like, SharePoint is a very big thing for us. How many, people use SharePoint in their company? A lot of us, we do that, right? So I think right now, if you go to our SharePoint, this is our Royal Cyber SharePoint, and we have a search bar. Okay. Whenever somebody new joins in, what we do is that we do a, like, we give them a our company handbook. So if I go out here and search for employee handbook, now this is called something called uh, the keyword search. So you can see that. Okay, so we saw the SharePoint search, the keyword search, and the semantic search. Okay, moving forward. So let's go back to our. So now, so what I just showed you is something which comes out of the box when you get the license for Copilot. But what about if you want to modify the Copilot? Okay, if you want to modify the Copilot, a lot of customers say that okay, we want to connect the Copilot with Salesforce or ServiceNow, right? How do you do that? And a lot of companies also say that we want to connect Copilot. If we want to create our own, Copilot also. We don't want to buy the Copilot which comes with Microsoft. So how do you do that? So I mean, there is a tool available which is called the Microsoft Copilot uh, Studio. So we will be going through that. Okay, so this is what you get out of the box when you buy the license for the Microsoft 365. Now you can, you can also customize the Copilot 365 by adding plugins and also graph connectors. So what are plugins and what are graph connectors? So plugins expand your user skills by interacting with your web service using natural language and Microsoft Copilot. So this is how it works. So you basically ask a question that, question goes to Copilot. If the Copilot doesn't have the response to that question, then if you have plugins, then and I mean this plugin can be either for Salesforce, for ServiceNow, right? So it will then send that question to the plugin, and then it will get the response back, and then you will see the response. By the way, I mean when we will do the workshop today, you will be creating a custom plugin, so you will know how to do this. Okay. These are the three things which are part of the plugin. One is the API, then one is the manifest, which basically tells the Copilot what is this this API is for. And then finally, there is adaptive card. Adaptive card is the UI. So when you get the response from any third-party plugin, how that response will show up on the Copilot. So that UI is developed using adaptive card. So here is a simple example with Jira. So I am asking a question. Find any Jira tickets about DNS problems. Then you draft an email which I can send to the user. So what this Copilot is doing, this is making a connection to the Jira, getting all the problems which are related to the DNS flushing problem. It is getting all the responses back, drafting a mail, and then I can also update Jira from here. So all that can be now done through Copilot, right? So if you don't have Copilot, then how would you do this? You will have to go to Jira, you will have to do your search, you will have to find all the DNS problems, you have to find the one which matches your problem, make that email, and then you have to send it. So it might take you about half an hour, 45 minutes, I don't know, but all that can be done in like few minutes through Copilot now. Any feedback, any questions, anybody? Okay, another thing, if you have a lot of, companies have SQL Server, they have, uh, data warehouses. So how do you connect your data from your own, data to the Microsoft graph? So Microsoft Office 365 Copilot provides something which is called Microsoft Graph uh, connectors. So with, graph connectors, you can connect, data from any sources to the Microsoft Graph. And then from a Microsoft Graph, it goes to the semantic, index, which is your vector DB. Once it goes to the vector DB, then the Copilot can, answer, questions using that particular files. So here is a simple, example where I am asking, show me all GitHub issues ready for content review. And what I mean, this is going. I mean, this is getting all the data from the GitHub. It is now moved to my semantic vector DB. Now, when I ask that question, I mean that response is now coming. So this data is not part of the Microsoft Graph. I basically use the graph, uh, connector, got the data, and the response is now coming back. Here is the high level stack which Microsoft 365 uses. So here you have the UX, right, where you basically enter your prompt. Now the prompt then goes to the prompt filtering. Then it becomes a meta prompt. Then that prompt, it basically gets the data from the grounding. Now the grounding is your vector, uh, database. If it doesn't find the data, inside the vector DB, then it can also call a third-party, plugin. Once it gets the data what it needs, then it sends the data and then your prompt to the foundation model. Now, then if foundation model looks at the prompt, looks at the data, and then it replies you back. Okay, so this is how the overall Copilot structure looks like. Now, as you can see that the grounding is semantic, index. Now, the semantic index has all of the files which so it has all of your Word files, PPT, Excel files. It has all of your user, policies, all the securities. So it uses, this particular, data to answer any question which you are asking. You can also add your own custom data to the semantic, index by using graph connectors, like I mentioned. So here is a quick video about semantic index, because this is a very important part of Copilot.
Larger conceptual map of information. For example, a semantic map of what the average person knows about elephants would include things like elephants have trunks, and elephants travel in herds, and elephants live in Africa. Today, people are mostly familiar with keyword search, which relies on exact words and phrases. So when you search for March sales report, you get a list of documents that include exactly those 3 words. But a semantic index understands that sales reports are produced by Kelly on the finance team and published each month as an Excel file. And it encodes all of these concepts and relationships between concepts in vectors in the index. Semantic index for Copilot analyzes your data. That's all your emails, documents, calendar, chats, and more in the Microsoft Graph. and uses a large language model, or LLM, to map all your content and the relationships between your content and you, searching through billions of vectors to find the most relevant results in milliseconds. It's what enables Microsoft 365 Copilot to deliver personalized, relevant, and actionable responses, and do so in a secure, compliant, privacy-preserving way. Semantic Index for Copilot enables every organization to be AI ready.
Okay, so like I mentioned that, I mean, all of your data, all of your files, I mean, like, that resides in the semantic vector VB. Now, I will go to my last demo, and then I think after me, like, someone will be like, showing the ServiceNow demo, and then, Alex will be doing the workshop. So before I go to the last demo, anybody has any feedback or any questions? No? Okay. So we just said that if you want to like make any changes to your Copilot, so how do you do that? So there is a tool available which is called Copilot Studio. So if you go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com, and then you have to create a login ID and a password. And then after you create the login ID and the password, you will come to something like this. Okay. So let us like, take a scenario. So in this scenario, like, I have a site. Okay, this is a site called Crystal Cruises. What they do is that they book, cruises. So they have like, different places. I mean, like, you can go to their ship stories, blah, 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 right? So I want to create a Copilot for this particular site. How do I, do that? So I will go to the Copilot, studio. I will go to Copilot. I will create a new Copilot. Let me give a name to this. I will say Jan 31st Copilot. Okay, and then I will give the URL, I mean, like, for this site. So the URL for this site is crystalcruises.com. Okay. And then I will come out here, and then I will add this website out here, Control V, and then create. Now, what it will do is that it will create, it will go to this website, and it will move all this content to the semantic vector DB, which we just saw, right? So now if I want to ask any question about this website, I don't have to go and search for those, right, pages. I can just ask any question, and it will just respond, reply me, back. So we will just see that now. Okay, so that is done. So now I'm ready to ask any question. Does anybody wants to ask any questions about the, Crystal Cruises? If not, then I mean, I have some questions. Okay, so I will just ask the question. So how many ships Crystal Cruises owns? Right. So if I ask that question, like, it will, so see, it came back. So Crystal Cruises owns 2 ships, Crystal Symphony and Crystal Serenity. Okay. So I just recently made a booking at, Crystal Cruises to go somewhere. So if I want to ask anything about my booking, will it know that or not? So if I ask, like, so I've, so if I ask the question, when is my booking? So it's saying, it is showing me that I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to help you with that. Can you try rephrasing? Because if you go to their website, there is no, like, nothing mentioned about, booking, because Crystal Cruises uses a completely separate system for that, which is not, basically part of this Crystal Cruises. So what did I do? I basically went to the, so I have already created a separate Copilot just to save time. So which is something similar to this one. So it is called Copilot Travel. So whenever you want to add something extra, you basically go to topics, and then you create a new topic. So I created, so and the way you do it, you go out here to topic and you say add, and then you add a topic. So I created a topic which is called booking. Okay, so if I open up that topic, you can see out here all of the different phrases. So what I'm telling, Crystal Cruz, is that if somebody types anything which is related to these phrases, then you go through this particular flow. So I have made this whole flow. This is a low code, no code thing, so it's very, basically easy to use. So now if I ask out here, when is my booking? So it will go there, and I mean, it is now saying there, okay, do you have is this in booking? I said, yes, I do. And it is asking me, please provide your booking number. So I will put my booking number is RCMP 001. So, and it basically brought me back my whole booking stuff back to me. Okay, so you can, easily create a Copilot for your website, and then you can add functionalities to it. And this Copilot, supports about 1,200 out of the box. It can connect to Salesforce, Oracle Fusion, SAP, ServiceNow, and God knows, like 1,200 out of the box.
So you're saying this could be embedded to the chat function on the website?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So now you are basically asking, question not from the site. You are asking from the website, from your Salesforce system, your other systems also. Right? So if you have multiple applications, right?
Right.
But you don't want people to go for the website, go to here for the, basically, the other things, go out here and go out here, right? So you are saying that all that is replaced by a simple UI. You just ask like a common asking your question, and then it will reply you back.
The chat. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much you guys are following the Microsoft CEO, said about a couple of weeks back that the new UI, right? So the new UI will be like semantic search, right? You just ask a question and it will give you a reply back. So no more fancy UIs, no more you go to this link or that link, right? It will be basically you just ask a question and then you will get a response. Okay, so everybody understood this. One last slide before we do the quiz part. What's the demo? Okay, about roles. So I think if somebody wants to start this, we have this advisory service available. So in this service, we provide, AI, advisory services, the Copilot readiness, assessment. Then we help with the, deployment and configuration, and finally the, adoption and change management. And then if you want to also make your Copilot, right, connect with your other third-party systems, then we, also can support you there. Okay, now let's do some fun things. So if you can open your mobile phones, and then if you can scan this particular URL. Yeah, that's it. If you can please, scan this URL from your mobile app. You can scan this, and then once you are finished joining in, please let me know, and then I will start the quiz. there a Wi-Fi? Yeah, I think there is a Wi-Fi available. The Wi-Fi is it is called conference Wi-Fi and the password is Metro West 55 with M, uppercase. METROWEST 55. Yeah, I see one person joined that. Okay, we have about 16 people, 17. Okay. Let's give one more minute and then we will start. Okay, so I think while this is coming up, so the first 5 winners will get a gift card by Sakina. So the first 5 winners. Okay, I think let's number is not moving now. It's 27. So we can start now. Okay, let's start. I mean, anybody who is joining late, I mean, please join through this 720337. That's the code. Okay, it is started now, please.
તમારું થઈ જાય છે મને જરા અન્ય તે
Good.
All right, guys, one more minute. All right, that's it. So we'll stop it now. Please note down your names and send to the chat so that we would know later on. Perfect. All right. So, hello everybody. My name is Sarmad Afzal. I work as a data scientist with Royal Cyber, and I believe till now we have like good understanding of theory and some practicality of what Microsoft Office and Microsoft Copilot Studio is doing for you in your organizations. The good thing about Copilot is that it has extensibility. It's not only limited to your Microsoft's ecosystem, which is like your Office 365 or any other service which you're using, and you can extend it to multiple platforms where your data lives. And I'll be walking you through a scenario where we are actually connecting Copilot with ServiceNow and then talking to it to get relevant information from its knowledge repository. So consider in your organization, you have your IT manager, and then everybody's buzzing him every other minute with like questions like setting up file systems or maybe setting up VPNs or different kind of things. And this is basically adding overheads to your day-to-day process. The first step is that you're gonna ping him, then he has to go towards ServiceNow or any other knowledge repository, and from there he's gonna find relevant articles, and from those articles he's going to fetch the right information or maybe the steps that you need to execute to get that thing done. So Copilot will help us execute this without the need of your IT manager, which is like how we were seeing it's making impact in your organizational efficiency. That's what example is over here. So here's the overall architecture. We'll have a Teams plugin. Instead of going to multiple platforms outside Microsoft, you just have to create and connect a plugin with Microsoft Teams. And from there, it'll try to orchestrate your Microsoft Copilot. That's where you have like topics and intents. So over there, you have decided or maybe scripted a flow that whenever a question is related to something which is stored in my ServiceNow repository, just follow that topic, use that intent, make a REST API call to my ServiceNow, and then bring that relevant information. So that information from the API is then parsed by large language model and replied back to you in a human understandable way. So here's the infrastructure of how we actually created that script. First, you have to go to Power Automate, which is an automated workflow where you actually trigger your HTTP API request. That's where you create an API and then you pass that over there with authorization and everything, and then it sends you a response. You have to initialize a variable where you store that response, and then that response is returned back to Copilot. So we created this automated workflow and then called that as an action in our Copilot Studio. Whenever something which is not inside the general knowledge and needs to come from a knowledge repository, this action will be triggered. And this action will again give response, which is then parsed, and only the relevant information is then passed to large language model. And then it summarizes and gives you a nice understandable response. So consider this situation that you have your ServiceNow instance running, and over there your IT guy is getting tickets every other day, and they're like a lot of pending stuff which is already there, and then he is still buzzed with more and more queries. So what he need to do that he has to open that ticket, and from there he needs to understand what exactly is the question, and for that he has to go to the ServiceNow knowledge repository portal. Maybe we have a question related to VPN. So he's going to search it over here in the knowledge repository. And what this thing is bringing back is all keyword search. Maybe it's matching words like not working. So it gives you an article, but this article is not related to VPN. So it's like a lot of manual tasks. You have to skim and scan through all those listings and then all those documents, and then finally get the relevant piece of chunk and then provide the response. So what we are doing over here is that we have created our ServiceNow chatbot using Copilot. So instead of all that process, I'll just simply type, how do I configure my VPN? So you see, it gave a very nice response. And this response is basically step-by-step guidance, which should have been done by your IT manager, because he's not going to throw you with all those documents. He'll be finding the relevant steps and then bringing back to you. So this is basically one of the piece which we want to show you as a demo, like how it can actually boost your efficiency and count on those impact hour which were shown in the last presentation. The beauty is that it also shows you the reference, like from where it actually brought that response. So if I click on that link, it'll target me towards that article which was saved in my ServiceNow knowledge repository. You see, this documentation was there and the relevant information is parsed and brought to you. So if you guys have any questions over here, are we good?
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, please.
When you click that, like this data was coming from the ServiceNow dashboard. Now you said, can we get this data from like our website or our like internal knowledge base documents somewhere? Is that what you were saying that we would do? Or is that something actually on yours?
Absolutely. So you have to do some topic modeling over here while orchestrating your Copilot.
ज्वाइन करेंगे नहीं वो देखो साइबर उन्हें करे वहाँ लोग का मिल
Good. Sorry, I thought there was some interruption, but to answer your question, basically, while orchestrating the Copilot, you see we are making an HTTP API call. This API call is made to ServiceNow instance. This can be made to your local application. Maybe that is running locally on your local system. That's it. So whatever you are doing, you just have to provide the authentication, the endpoint, and finally it will get the response from there and present it to you. So
Awesome.
that is possible.
Awesome. So like we have, so I would have like knowledge base sort of articles in my Teams within itself, so I could call that to it. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you always get the reference. That's the beauty. It's not like information which is coming out of the model's weight, from the large language model's weight. Rather, it is coming from your knowledge repository. So you can always reference back and cross-validate if you need to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Based on what?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of Copilot. I mean, you can extend it as much as you want. Right now, I've only connected one source, but you can connect multiple sources. It'll see like step by step.
You can write all those.
Yeah, absolutely. If you
find the knowledge base.
exactly. So if you see over here, these are the conditions. So you can like create a else condition, give it like multiple options to see through. Anyone else? If you're good to go, I'll hand it over to Alex.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. So
Yes, Alex.
thank you so much for the demo. And my name is Alex, and I am going to walk you through the workshop for creating your own custom Copilot. And there are two parts to it. Like one is a very basic Copilot where we are going to add a website and we are going to ask questions about that website through Microsoft Copilot. And the second part is, let's assume you have APIs and we want to leverage the APIs and communicate with the APIs in a natural language. So to do the first part, you need to have a Copilot access. You can log into Copilot Studio Microsoft.com and create a test account, like which can be there is a free account for like first 30 days. And to do the second part, you need a Power Platform access and Visual Studio. So let's do the first part. So you go to the Copilot Studio, you click on New Copilot, you provide a name. And you click on Create. It takes some time. It is clear, setting up the environment. And your first Copilot is ready. So let's assume we want to ask questions about Microsoft Copilot, right? So if I ask what is Microsoft Copilot, it's going to say like, I'm sorry, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the website, Microsoft. And I say like add a website. It is going to process that website. It's going to take a couple of minutes to process. And once it is processed, you can. Oh, good. Yeah. So once it is ready, then I can again like go back and ask what is Microsoft Copilot. Yeah. So now it went through this Microsoft.com, understood what is part of the Microsoft.com, and it gave me an answer saying that it's a AI powered tool. And it also gave me a reference from where it picked that information from. And it need not be always a website, or it need not always be like a one website. You can add like multiple websites to this and you can start asking question, or you can also drag drop file. You can add a file, and it will go through that file, create embeddings, make this data part of the search, and you can start asking question to Copilot, about the document. So it is going to take a couple of minutes before it is ready to answer you the questions. So I'm just going to ask like what are Royal Cyber benefits. So it's still processing the file, so it's taking some time. But once it's processed, it'll give the answer from this file. Let me try. Okay. So any questions on this one while it is still processing the file? Okay, to do the second part of this workshop, you need to have access to Power Platform. Again, you'll have access, free access for 30 days, so you can easily sign up to Power Platform. And also you need to download the Visual Studio. So we picked up a use case for doing the second part of the demo. Like, let's assume we are a retail organization and we sell a variety of products through e-commerce platform. And we have a customer who is calling in, and he has some questions about his order details, and he also wanted to change the delivery address for that order. So how we can achieve this is through APIs. So we are talking about like two different APIs. One is Get API, which is going to get the order details, and the other one is the Update API, which is going to update your order with the new delivery address. Right. So as part of this workshop, we are going to create an API using .NET, and we are going to create a custom connector which can connect to your data. And using this custom connector, we are going to use Copilot communicating with the custom connector, and we can do like a small conversation with that. So if you guys have this document, this should be in your email, or people who are here should have like a printed version. So in this workshop, we are going to create APIs, but it need not always be creating an API. If you already have a set of APIs, yes, you can leverage the APIs and you can start asking questions to it. Okay, so there is a source code for this one. You don't have to type in all the information. You can download this from this Dropbox URL. So if you can download, I'll give you like a minute time so you can use this link. So once you guys download, then you should be having your Visual Studio. You can import the code in your Visual Studio, and you can see like we have an endpoint which is we have two endpoints. One is get order details, and other one is an update order detail, update delivery address. So we are going to publish this APIs using the connected services over here on the Solution Explorer console. Before publishing, let's go ahead and see what this API is doing. So I can test this API. Basically, it is compiling the source code and creating a Swagger file. You can see the Swagger documentation over here. You see the get order endpoint. You can try it out from here and say like, try it out and provide the order number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and say execute. So this is going to bring back a JSON. This is a static JSON. So it's going to bring back a JSON with the shipping address and the order details and everything in a JSON format. Now the endpoint is ready. You have the API documentation, everything ready. I'll have to just go ahead and publish this endpoint as a connected service. So I'm again switching back to HTTPS. And all I have to do is right click on a connected service, add a Microsoft Power Platform. This is going to connect to your to the account you logged in. Be sure you're disconnecting it. So it's connected to my Royal Cyber account. It's going to bring you all the environment information. You can pick which environment you want it to. And so we have created a solution already in the Power Platform. So it is going to list over here. I can select that solution. Yes. So if the way it talks is like full API way. So if you have an API and if you allow that API, yes, it can talk to anything. Like it can be Salesforce or it can be anything. Okay, so it's basically not bringing the solution here, but you can create your connector and then you can publish it. So it looks like there's some issue. Okay, anyways. So once it is published, you should be able to again go back to your Copilot and you can create your custom Copilot. Now, again, I go back to Copilots. I say new Copilot and say demo 2. create. And here you'll have to go to generative AI. You'll have to enable the dynamic chaining. This is what enables you to communicate with the APIs. If you do not do this step, you cannot talk to your API. And then you will have to save it explicitly. And then to see what it exactly does, you should switch on the tracking and it will tell you like what exactly it is doing. So if you ask a question about get order details, so this is on the go. So basically what happens is if we go to topics and plugins, you'll go add a plugin action and you'll say like on to, so you'll search your application. And you see like you have get order details connector. So you pick this and it has an explanation of what it does. So based on that explanation, which is provided by the API, it understands, okay, this endpoint is going to get the order details. So it knows that, it is going to get the order details. So when you ask for an order detail, it is going to use this endpoint and it is going to get the order details for you. So if you see here, this is the explanation which we are going to give it to the model. Just like get the details of an order, including the contents of the order, total value of the order, plus tax and everything, and status of the order, including the shipping address. So it is going to use this one. You say finish. Now it will take you through the flow. So if you give like get order details for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now it will use your API endpoint, and so whatever you have given, like it will communicate with that. Right now it's not working because like I'm not able to publish to it. So I'll look into it. By the meantime, like if you guys can get started, we can do this workshop together. Okay, now I have this solution, order management, and I see Counters API connector. One. Next, and I say finish.